My name is Kevin Murphy. I'm 40 years old, single, and a contract worker. People might think I'm a dull middle-aged man, but it's not like I've never been popular with women. Of course, I'm not incompetent at work either. After graduating from a fairly prestigious university, I got a job at a major corporation. I thought I was working hard and steadily climbing the corporate ladder. However, when I turned 30, my mother, my only parent, fell ill. She had raised me single-handedly after my father died when I was young and even managed to send me to college.
It's not a big deal. When you get older, everyone goes through hospitalization once or twice.
My strong-willed mother would say that with a laugh, but it must have been due to years of overwork. In retrospect, I didn't properly take care of my mother because of my workaholic lifestyle. What kind of success is it if I can't even show filial piety to my only parent? I regretted it deeply. After much thought, I proposed to my company that I continue working as a part-time contract worker rather than a full-time employee. The HR manager was surprised, but he took into account my past work performance and my current situation and accepted my request. In the past 10 years, my mother has been in and out of the hospital, but she's managed to live a relatively healthy life. When I told her I was leaving my full-time position, she scolded me severely, but in the end, she teared up.
"I'm sorry, thank you,"
she said. I guess she wanted me by her side after all. My work shifted more towards simple administrative tasks, but I didn't have any complaints. My colleagues still relied on me, and my boss was always considerate. Seeing my peers getting promoted was a bit frustrating, but this lifestyle suited me. I could leave work on time and didn't have to work on weekends. On my days off, I'd take my mother to hot springs or out to eat delicious food, and gradually, I lost touch with women. I didn't think too seriously about not being married and just accepted it as it is. However, this peaceful life would be shattered with the arrival of a certain person. She was a new section chief who had been promoted from another branch, a woman named Samantha Brown, who was 10 years younger than me. Apparently, she had joined the company through connections as a relative of the sales manager. She was a beautiful woman with flashy features, but she was incredibly strong-willed and arrogant.
People who can't do their jobs always make excuses.
Brown, the section chief, scolded her subordinates in a voice that resonated throughout the department. It had become an everyday sight after she was promoted and 3 months had passed.
Anyway, please start over from the beginning. If you give a presentation like this, you'll bring shame to our company.
She spat out the words, stood up, and came to my side.
Contract old man, stop daydreaming and make some tea.
She tapped me on the shoulder. A female employee sitting in front of me stood up.
"I can make the tea if you'd like,"
she said.
I'm talking to this old man. If you have time to worry about others, you should focus on making better documents. There was a typo yesterday.
"I'm sorry."
Goodness, I'm surprised that everyone here is so useless.
She clicked her tongue and left, slamming the door behind her. An unpleasant atmosphere filled the room. With a sigh, I got up and headed to the break room.
"Hey, Murphy, are you making tea for Miss Brown again?"
The one who said that and patted me on the shoulder was my colleague Davis, who started working at the same time as me. He now works in the Human Resources Department. Well, something like that.
"You're really patient, you know."
When you turn 40, you become more well-rounded. Davis said, "That is true," and laughed.
"But how can someone who got in through connections and has no actual skill be so arrogant? Isn't she embarrassed?"
I don't know. I can't understand what someone who's never faced hardship thinks.
Especially with you, they're really tough, right? I wonder why.
Maybe she think it's okay to pick on me because I'm a contract employee. She may have a big attitude, but her brain is as small as a bird's. As I answered, Davis's expression suddenly changed. I looked back, and there was Chief Brown, red with rage and glaring at me like a demon. From that day on, Chief Brown's treatment of me became so terrible that I could only describe it as power harassment.
Useless trash. Ugly man who can't even get married. A burden to the company.
The list goes on and on. I do feel sorry for what I said in the break room. However, I eventually lost my temper and talked back a few times, but was only met with sneers. My colleagues felt sorry for me, but they kept their distance, pretending not to see. My mother was worried about me when I came home exhausted, but I didn't want to burden her with my problems, so I kept quiet. One day, I went out drinking with my colleagues, which was rare. It was a drinking party they arranged for me, so I thought it would be rude to decline. I also wanted to vent my frustrations by drinking. I got pleasantly drunk and stopped by a convenience store on my way home. I have a bad habit of craving something sweet when I drink. I bought two limited edition convenience store desserts and left the store. As I was crossing the parking lot, I heard a woman scream, being harassed by a drunk manual.
Let go of me.
What a feisty lady.
Let go, I said.
At that moment, the man let go of the woman's arm, pushing her away. The woman fell to the ground.
Stupid, as if I'd seriously be interested in an ugly woman like you.
The man spat out a parting insult and left the scene, laughing. I rushed over to the woman. Are you okay? I offered my hand, and the woman looked at me. She was surprised and quickly pulled her hand back. Chief Brown. It was Chief Brown who was being harassed.
You're that useless contract employee.
Her comment grated on me. I thought about leaving her there and going home, but seeing Chief Brown rubbing her ankle, I reluctantly helped her. Can you stand? Hold on to me.
Don't bother me.
She brushed off my offered hand, but I ignored her and put my arm around her, helping her standard. Can you walk? Do you want to go to the hospital?
Don't be dramatic. I just sprained my ankle a little.
Then let's at least do first aid at my place. It's only a 5-minute walk from here.
What? Why would I have to go to your house?
My mother is at home, so it's safe. Even if she weren't, I wouldn't do anything weird to you. I said the last part sarcastically. The implication was that even a loser like me wouldn't lay a hand on a woman like her. I don't know if it got through to her, but Chief Brown seemed to give in and leaned on my shoulder as we walked. It was quiet for a while, but then Chief Brown muttered something. Huh? What did you say?
So? I thought you were useless and couldn't do anything, but you actually have some strength, huh?
What's that supposed to mean? I asked in disbelief, and she snapped back.
I'm praising you.
She cried out. Geez, I can't understand what young girls are thinking. I quietly sighed. We could see my apartment building, and I pressed the buzzer for my first floor unit.
What happened? Who's this young lady?
She's my section chief. Just let us in for now. I seated Brown in the living room sofa and explained the situation to my mother. She understood and took out a first aid kit, preparing a cold towel soaked in ice water.
A man who treats a girl so roughly is beyond despicable.
Grumbling and complaining, my mother glared at me.
Why didn't you punch that guy?
What? What's that about?
I can't believe my own child. So pathetic.
I didn't understand why I was being blamed. At that moment, Chief Brown burst into laughter.
I'm sorry. I also regretted not hitting him.
She said with a smile I'd never seen before and bowed to my mother.
I'm really sorry for causing trouble at this hour.
Don't say that. You're the victim here, so don't apologize.
My mother gently responded, applied a poultice to Chief Brown's ankle, and secured it with tape.
Now, let's see how it goes. I'll make some tea.
No, I'll be leaving shortly.
Don't say that. Just stay put until the pain subsides.
As my mother stood up, I told her I was going to take a bath and left the living room. I didn't want to talk to Chief Brown any longer. As I soaked in the hot water, I remembered Chief Brown's polite attitude when she was talking to my mother earlier. She can actually be that polite. It was surprising. When she was talking to my mother, she looked like a normal young lady her age. She was completely different from the unreasonable and arrogant woman I saw at work every day. When I got out of the bath, I could hear cheerful laughter from the living room, which surprised me even more. I had never heard Chief Brown's laughter before. After changing in my room, I quietly opened the living room door to find the sweets I had bought on the table, and the two of them were happily eating them. That's mine.
This is delicious. Sorry, but please make more tea.
My mother asked, and I reluctantly went to the kitchen. Feeling a gaze, I looked up and locked eyes with Chief Brown, who was smiling at me. I quickly looked away. About an hour later, Chief Brown stood up. As I saw her to the door, she bowed deeply to my mother.
Thank you so much for your help.
It's no problem. I had a lot of fun. Girls really are wonderful, after all.
My mother answered, genuinely happy. The next moment, Ms. Brown, the section chief, said,
Mr. Murphy.
And looked at me. It felt like the first time she called me by my last name properly.
Thank you for everything. And I'm sorry.
She bowed her head deeply, and I was puzzled, just looking at the top of her head without saying anything.
I was frustrated being thought of as a useless girl who got in through connections, so I acted tougher than necessary. I was angry because what you said in the break room was true.
No.
I thought it would be okay to bully you since you're not a regular employee. I was the worst. You can even sue me for power harassment.
No, he is not going to sue you. If you don't mind my unreliable son, please take it out on him.
My mother waved her hand in front of her face and laughed, aha. I missed the timing to reply and just glared at my mom with a side eye.
It must be hard being a section chief at such a young age, right? Feel free to come over anytime. If it's okay with you, I'll always listen to your stories.
Really? Is that okay?
Chief Brown glanced at me and asked quietly. I screamed internally, thinking she really intended to come over.
Of course, next time, I'll prepare something delicious for you. It's a promise.
She sincerely thanked my mother several times and left. A taxi had just arrived in front of the apartment. I closed the door and sighed. Well, at least I got to hear Chief Brown's true feelings. She might not be a bad person at her core. I'd be happy if we could build a slightly better relationship from tomorrow. With that wish, I finally crawled into my futon. It was a long day. The next day,
Good morning.
Chief Brown said to me. The others who saw it looked at Chief Brown as if they'd seen a ghost, turning their heads several times in disbelief. But from that day on, Chief Brown's attitude gradually changed. She tried to communicate with everyone, albeit awkwardly. What surprised me the most was that she became very close to my mother, visiting our house once a week. On Sundays, as I was relaxing in my room reading a book, I could hear my mother's voice from the living room.
Samantha, you need to live more relaxed. Your smile is so cute, so smile more.
I just can't help but keep my distance from others.
I know, you don't have any friends, do you?
That's harsh. But maybe you're right.
And you don't have a boyfriend either.
At that point, I could hear both of them laughing. When did they become so close? My mom called the section chief Samantha, and Chief Brown called my mom Helen. But talking with my mom seemed to have a positive impact on Chief Brown. Her intimidating attitude at work disappeared, and she smiled more. It felt as if the unnecessary tension had been lifted from her shoulders. The atmosphere at work improved, and everyone started talking to Chief Brown. As a result, the wishes of the subordinates were naturally heard, and work proceeded smoothly. She probably had the talent from the beginning. Lately, she has been showing remarkable growth in her performance. Half a year passed like that, and one day Chief Brown came to my house and, unusually, asked me to join them. Usually, I would stay in my room out of politeness, but curious, I sat across from Chief Brown in the living room.
I haven't received the official notice yet, but I've been assigned to our Canada branch starting next month.
Chief Brown said. The Canada branch is a prestigious career path. It's not a place you can go without actual ability. Is that so? Congratulations.
Even though I was just a daughter who joined the company through connections, it seems I've managed to get my abilities recognized.
Chief Brown answered with a genuine smile, not sarcastically. Your recent performance has been amazing, so it's only natural. Go to Canada with pride.
Thank you. But it's all thanks to your mother, Helen.
Chief Brown looked at my mother sitting next to her.
Thank you.
And bowed her head.
It's all thanks to your abilities, Samantha. I'll be sad not to see you, but do your best.
Tears welled up slightly in my mother's eyes. She had grown to love Chief Brown as if she were her own daughter. She must be feeling lonely.
So, I have a request for Murphy.
For me. What is it?
Can I leave you in charge of the sales department as the new section chief in my place?
Me. I'm just a contract worker, you know. I couldn't help but laugh. But Chief Brown was serious.
I heard that you chose to work part-time for Helen. After talking with everyone in the company, I learned how much they rely on you. Please, I don't mind if you keep your part-time status, but would you come back as a full-time employee?
The company won't agree to that.
I've already secured the internal approval. I've gained some influence with my new position in Canada. Please.
Chief Brown bowed her head, leaving me stunned. I never imagined that a promotion would come my way now, after I had given up on it long ago.
Go for it, Kevin. This is your mother's wish too.
Mom.
I've been feeling terrible that you're sacrificing your life for me. I'm healthy now. As you can see, I want you to live your own life.
Hearing her words, I was at a loss for words. To be honest, I was incredibly happy. I could work on the front lines again. The fading flame in my heart seemed to burn brightly again. After that, I returned as a full-time employee. When everyone welcomed me with applause, I couldn't help but feel teary-eyed. Chief Brown left for Canada with high spirits. At the farewell party, Chief Brown, who had drunk a lot, put her arm around my shoulder and said,
Take good care of the sales department.
She repeated it several times.
I'll be back in 3 years, and I'll visit your house again.
I quickly covered her mouth as she spoke loudly. Everyone around us looked at us in surprise.
Murphy, don't tell me you.
When my colleague Martinez asked me, I frantically waved my hands, saying, No, that's not it. Chief Brown laughed out loud, not understanding what was so funny. Geez, I don't know what young women are thinking. Chief Brown looked at me, sweating and panicking, and smiled radiantly.